What's going on? It's the Objective Jerk, and I'm said jerk. You are listening. Oh, I messed it up already. You're listening to the Objective Jerk, where that's what I need to do. You are listening to the Objective Jerk, where I use my microphone and platform as a form of therapy, and I am said jerk. Maybe that's what I need to do. Something like that. Anyway, what's up? How's everybody doing? What have I been doing? Just been working on normal crap. First off, my computer updated and it scrubbed my GarageBand or something. Like all my stuff is not there, so all my settings that I had before, which I'm constantly messing with, was out the door. So I had to do a new podcast setting, whatever, because I would record a podcast and then I'd save it whenever I had to convert it, export it, whatever. And then whenever I'd open GarageBand, it would just bring up the previous, and I would just delete and then record with the existing settings, right? But it's like it was a brand new first time using it, and so that sucks. But actually, I just did it and did a quick little test. It actually sounds kind of good, so maybe it's for the best. So hopefully, I don't know. Problem is, I don't know where it's saving this. Okay, I think it should be good. No, that's the wrong thing I'm looking at. I don't know where it's. Well, I guess I can pick it when I go to save it. Anyway, so hopefully that works out. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a podcast, and then I spent 20 minutes trying to figure out what was going on, and I just was like, I guess it just whatever. I don't know. It's like I don't know. It'd start all over basically, but like I said, the little practice that I did, it sounded pretty good. So, but no, I wanted to kind of talk about this podcast that I listened to on the Joe Rogan. So, I meant to pull some stuff up so I could reference names and everything. So I listened to this the other day when I was working on my my tool room, which is where my bikes are at and where I work on my bike and everything. I think I talked about getting the clamp, the stand. So I was kind of setting things up for that and organizing that. And usually when I do that kind of stuff, so I either listen to music or a podcast. It just depends. Didn't feel like listening to music, so I just put on. And I don't only listen to Joe Rogan, but for the most part, because I don't listen to podcasts as much as I used to. But plus now, so much of it's on YouTube and everything. But I mean, not Joe Rogan necessarily, but just every podcast that's out there is, there's so many different ways that you can watch or listen to. And so anyway, so I just opened it up and just started listening to the first podcast, and it was the one with Dave Smith and Douglas Murray, right? Which I guess is everybody's talking about it right now, so I guess maybe I should too, because the Douglas Murray guy was annoying as hell. I don't know if you guys listened to it. So Dave Smith is a comedian, and he's been on the Rogan podcast before. I don't think I've ever listened to one that was just him. It's usually he's with other comedians or whatever. I've never been much of a fan of him. Not because I didn't like anything he said. I don't know. I just never have, Because of this though, I subscribed to his podcast and because I kind of feel like a kinship towards him. He's a comedian. He's not an expert, as we'll get into, but he just has some based, logical, common sense kind of takes. But and I've never listened to one with this Douglas Murray, I don't think. But I just remember being in my tool room, getting stuff going, and I was listening, but kind of not. But then it just immediately just started into the Douglas Murray guy, just kind of attacking. And I remember thinking, like, dude, like, maybe build a little rapport, kind of get a little relationship going a little bit, and then start going, because this stuff was just on his mind. He'd been like practicing it in the mirror, the things he wanted to say or something, I don't know. But before I get into it though, like, what is the definition of an expert, do you think? I mean, is an expert an educated person, or is an expert an experienced person? Is it both? You know what I mean? Like, what? So this Douglas Murray guy was just really hung up on, like, he's like pissed off because Joe Rogan doesn't have other people that kind of fall in line with his view of things, and he's like basically saying there's all these people that claim to be experts, but they don't really. Most people that I ever, like myself, I don't, if there's something that I've experienced more, even something that I'm pretty experienced with, I don't even claim I'm an expert. I don't claim to be an expert in anything. And I think most people are kind of like that. They're like, hey, I'm not an expert, but this is, and that's just kind of what podcasting is. It's just people just sharing their opinions. And everybody's got an opinion, right? Maybe it's uninformed and, biased or whatever, but everybody's going to share their thoughts or their opinions. And this Douglas Murray guy, even though he sounds so eloquent and with his British accent, but the guy just, other than his fancy accent, he just came across as a complete moron, It's like he kept like trying to start a debate. He would ask a question, and then when, what's his face? I already forgot. What's his name? Dan Smith? Or hold on. I'm trying to look. I had a thing up here. Dave Smith. He would answer him or whatever. Then he would just be like, well, see, that's not what I'm saying. That's not, like, he never could follow through with what he started. And nothing he said really made sense. Like, he'd be like, don't you think we need to have experts talking about it? And they're like, well, nobody claims to be an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. This and that. Yes, but don't you think it's weird? And it's like, what's weird? What? It's just people talking. Just because that's the thing that people like about Joe Rogan's podcast, is he gets experts on there. He gets, actors, normal people, writers, and a lot of it's just podcasters, people like me that are much more successful at it, just normal people with normal opinions, and they discuss things, and Joe Rogan usually, he finds somebody that is interesting that he wants to talk to, he'll reach out to them, you know what I mean? Now, it's just like with Trump and everything. He put, Harris had a chance to get on there too. He was trying to get both sides, but she didn't want to do it. And we talked about that. We know why, because she's a retard. She wouldn't have lasted, 30 minutes. It would have been kind of interesting though, just to kind of see how it would have went. But yeah, I was pretty certain she wasn't going to go on there. But anyway, this guy just had a bunch of like non-arguments, this Douglas Murray guy. So I don't know anything about him, but I definitely think he's a retard now. And Dave Smith, I'll keep an eye out for him a little bit, just because I kind of felt like he had the same temperament, mentality, or opinions as I do. But he seemed, he's more informed than I am, But that's the thing, like, so what makes somebody an expert? Why can't, and then when you say that, it's like, look at what happened during COVID and everything, and they kept saying, listen to the experts. Here's the experts. Fauci was an expert. Look how that happened. Look how that played out. Look how, so it's like, you can't sit there and like cry, oh, you need to have experts. It's like, dude, I've met some doctors who are experts in their field, but they're stupid in everyday life. You know what I mean? It's kind of, I don't know. He had no arguments. Like, he tried to start some arguments and they all just fell flat. They made no sense. And he would just kind of flip flop a little, and he just kept, well, don't you think it's weird? Isn't it weird? Okay, what do you mean? What's weird? Well, you don't have it. And they would sit there and answer him, but it wasn't the answer he wanted. And he kept asking him, okay, but isn't it weird? What are you talking about? Like, I don't know what this guy, I couldn't even listen to the whole thing. Because I was busy doing some other stuff, so I didn't finish. But man, just from what I heard, it was just horrible. Like, so I guess the biggest thing is the war with Gaza, Palestine, and Israel. I guess he's saying that Rogan doesn't have enough people that are for the war, I guess. Like, nobody wants what I don't understand why it's so like popular to argue for any kind of war. In this day and age, we should not be at war. You know what I mean? I get it back in, centuries ago, and you had the clans and you had the people that the different cultures, and you're coming across on a boat and this and that, and there's all these battles and with England and France and like, it makes sense. And then, but like, I mean, World War I and II didn't really make sense. I mean, us getting involved with what Hitler was doing and everything made sense. But I'm just saying, war has never made sense, has not made sense in like hundreds of years. Like, it's all, why? I don't know. And the fact that people are just like, let's keep, Ukraine and Russia fight. For what? For why?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for listening to The Objective Jerk. I greatly appreciate it. If you could like, subscribe, comment on wherever you're finding this, and you can also email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. So, hope you're enjoying it, and please continue on with the episode. I mean, I know why, politicians and various people want the war to continue, because they're making money. But see, it's not just one thing, though, with the wars, There's various reasons and whatever, but people, like, do you really think that you're going to just defeat Russia and Russia's going to go away? You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. You can't. With the amount of information and technology that everybody has access to, except for a few tribes in the Amazon, I guess, it's you're almost retarded that you have to result to having a war. Like, I mean, I get there's like some minor special operation things going on and this and that, but like full out war between countries, just like, what? I don't know. It just, I mean, look at the last thing that happened to America that made sense for any kind of war was 9/11, right? Which a lot of people could argue just how organic was 9/11. I don't think our government planned it and executed it, but I do kind of think they knew, they had some idea of it, and they kind of allowed it to happen to an extent. You know what I mean? Could be wrong. Not an expert, but just everything that I've seen, and because Iraq, I've said it before. I spent 2 years in Iraq. I didn't go to Afghanistan, which you might think seems crazy because I joined the army after 9/11, but I spent 2 years in Iraq. Like, what? And I remember that when it was like coming time, and it's like, hey, we're going to go to Iraq. And it was like, what? Why are we going to Iraq? And it was like, well, I guess maybe a lot of people are going over there. Iraq supports the Taliban, this and that, so maybe they're going over there as well. That's kind of how I did it in my mind. That's how I, what's the word I'm looking for? Made it make sense to me was, they got people in Afghanistan, and now they're finding out, there's intel that some people that were involved or whatever in Iraq too. So we go to Iraq, and then they're like, oh, there's weapons of mass destruction, and it's all about Saddam, and it was just like, what? It seemed weird, but it was like, okay, well, whatever. But then now afterward, it's like, dude, what was that about? It's just like, I've told the story about when I got scammed. There were so many little red flags throughout that week where I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. What? That's weird. Why is this? I don't know. But I brushed it off. Whatever. And then look what happened, So it's like, it's okay to question things. It's okay to not fully accept everything that you're told by individuals. I'm not saying don't listen to people. You should listen to everybody, both sides and everything. But you should question it. You know what I mean? You should just be like, okay, and the fact that, like, this dude, this Douglas Murray, was that his name? I keep forgetting. Like, he's just trying to, he's pissed off because none of the people that he probably agrees with are on the show, or at least not as many. There are, that's the thing, is like, Rogan has, how many episodes has he done? 2,000, almost 3,000, and so many people that criticize Rogan don't even actually listen. They listen to clips. They look at the title, and they only listen to the ones where he has people that they don't agree with or something, so they can criticize and whatever. No, I mean, I'll admit that he does tend to have more center or even right wing individuals. He'll have some left wing, but the thing is like, everybody who's more left that get on his show, they end up destroying themselves. They look foolish, just like this Douglas Murray guy. You know what I mean? There was this guy, and then there was that female who was just like talking all kinds of, but she didn't even know what the hell, what'd she call her? She was attacking, jeez. Tulsi Gabbard. And she was calling her something. A toady or something. And she didn't know exactly what it meant. And, so she had all these opinions, but she didn't know. They weren't her own opinions. She was just spreading other people's opinions from people that she agreed with, And that's kind of like a big problem, I think. That's the biggest problem. Is people they will share opinions of other people who they like or respect without even really thinking about it. It's just like, oh, this guy says this. Oh yeah. And people do that like for Rogan too. So people listen to Rogan, just anything that Rogan says is scripture, and we're, whatever, this and that. The thing is like Rogan is just a normal dude. He's pretty unbiased and objective for the most part, that he just, and he talks about what he knows, and he asks questions about what he doesn't, and he gives his honest opinion. That's it. That's why it's so popular. People, like, the left and everything, they don't get it. Oh my gosh, why is he so popular? How come we can't have some? I mean, look at, you have Michelle Obama doing a podcast. I mean, I'm not one to talk. I ain't got no listeners. I got like 2. So, but Michelle Obama, she ain't got shit. She started a podcast, nothing. Gavin Newsom, nothing. Because they're not real, genuine people, and that's the thing, is people are constantly trying to, like, get at Rogan or this and that, but it's like, oh, you don't have enough of these people on. It's like, well, they don't want to go on, because when they do, they look like fools, because they don't have an honest, genuine opinion about things. They just have these opinions based off of ideology or political affiliations or whatever, and then they just go on there and they start talking about it. I think about, what if, like, if Rogan invited me to go on his podcast, I would for real go, just to experience, to meet him and check out all his stuff there. You know what I mean? Go in the tank and do a workout with him. Just to do that. I would want to do it. But I think about, like, what, if he was to ask me, whatever this and what would I talk about and this and that. And to be honest with you, I don't even know what I would. I mean, he would have to get it going. I mean, he wouldn't want me. I mean, unless he somehow came across a clip of mine, he's like, oh, that guy's funny or something, which I'm not. But you know what I mean? It's just because, my son asked me that. He's like, dude, would you go on Joe Rogan? And at first I was like, yeah. But then I was like, you know what, though? Just everything but the podcast. Like, the conversation. Like, I would like to go on Joe Rogan and have it not be aired. Just go on there, bullshit with him, experience all that kind of stuff, and just, and then, we can't air it because for whatever reason. I'd be like, all right, that's fine. That's cool. I'm not trying to get, a bunch of subscribers and stuff, because like I know that if I know I'm never going to get to any point like that, but I know if I did, I would not like it. I'm happy and content with my audience and my reach and everything right now. I don't advertise on anything. I'm not trying to really, I'm trying to let it grow organically, and I just do my little therapy session, do whatever, and then I post it. Some people listen, most people don't. Some people make comments, some people troll, some people try and sell me marketing. But, that's all it is. It's just, for me to just, therapy session. And just to touch on my last episode, I don't eat nothing but fast food or junk food. I was referencing the fast food restaurants here, because that's what they have. I had somebody comment like, "Oh, if you eat a bunch of shit, quit eating shit, you'll feel better." It's like, well, I don't eat like, McDonald's and Jollibee and stuff all the time. I'm just, I was trying to explain like how things are here and stuff like that. I actually eat fairly decent, except last night I kind of munched on some junk food, but like, I don't drink soda. I don't drink alcohol. Every once in a great while. Well, on both. Every once in a great while, I'll drink a soda. or a beer. The food here is basically organic. So it's like, I mean, yeah, if I want to eat fast food, there's not much for, And then even so, they have the two, just McDonald's and the Jollibee. That's it. The other one, I guess you could say, is fast food, the Chow King, but it's more substance than fast food. It's food. It's just a fast food version of. I don't know. It's hard. See, I'm just trying to explain, but then I just had somebody do that comment, and I was just like, did I make it seem like that's all I eat or something? I was just trying to explain the differences between America and here and everything. So, anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think. Let me know how it sounds. Did you listen to the podcast, JRE podcast? What'd you think? What'd you think about what I said? Let me know in the comments. All right. Thanks for hanging out. God bless, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye. You just put yourself through another episode of The Objective Jerk. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Please email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, comment, wherever you find this, follow. It all helps. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time.